The best way to begin is to explain what capital punishment really is. As defined by Google, capital punishment is the legal authorized killing of someone as punishment for a crime. We both agree that for severe enough crimes that the offenders be put down, versus them having the option to get out and carry out more crimes. Imagine that a pedophile walks through Jordan, Minnesota, and rapes a human and kills it. Do you, as a student and or teacher of Jordan High School, want this said person living next to you or near your community?
But wait, there's more. Act now, and you could have all the sexual predators in your neighborhood eliminated for your taxes. Otherwise, you pay more taxes to keep them alive. As of right now, it costs more to have prisoners on death row, but that is because they aren't being executed. If they were to be executed or exonerated, then they would save money for the taxpayers. Releasing a death row inmate to being a regular inmate, that saves money. Executing death row inmates faster will also save money by having to pay less taxes on keeping them in a high security prison and the court costs. For all death row inmates to be euthanized now, it'll be cheaper in the end because we don't have to pay taxes to keep them in jail and they won't be in jail as long. But all things aside, there are many arguments for and against capital punishment. As seen before, we both are for capital punishment. Some people claim morality is a good reason not to give the death penalty, but stated by procon.org, we reserve the death penalty in the United States for the most heinous murders and the most brutal and conscienceless murderers. This is not, as some critics argue, a kind of state-run lottery that randomly chooses an unlucky few for the ultimate penalty, that among all those convicted of murder, rather, the punishment system is a filter that selects the worst of the worst.
Other terms, to sentence killers like those described above to less than death would be failed to do justice because the penalty, presumably a long period in prison, would be grossly disproportionate to the heinousness of the crime. Prosecutors, jurors, and the loved ones of murder victims understand this essential point. Perhaps most importantly, in its supreme gravity, it promotes belief in and respect for the majesty of the moral order and for the system of human law that both derives from the supports and moral order. Some people even claim there are mistakes made by the system, which there is, but procon.org states those in support of abolishing the death penalty point to the possibility of an innocent person being executed.
The innocent can take solace in knowing that a unanimous jury of 12 citizens must render the death verdict after an exhaustive trial where the accused murderer is represented by two highly competent attorneys and overseen by an independent judge who ensures a fair trial. Voters understand that the criminals on death row have been convicted of the most heinous crimes. Voters also realize that those left behind, grieving families throughout the United States and their loved ones, don't deserve anything less than justice. Newsweek shows that of the 1,395 people executed since 1977, a total of 138 people have been exonerated or found innocent. That makes a total of a 9.8% error. That's within government standards, with about 3,261 people on death row today, as found on statisticbrain.com.
Procon.org states foreclosure for victims' families that whatever your feelings are towards the death penalty, one thing most people will never know is the pain experienced when a family member, or in my case, a family members are brutally tortured and murdered.
In 1984, my mother's sister and two nephews were cold-heartedly shot to death by an 18-year-old gang member named Taquan Cox. Taquan was sentenced to death by a jury of his peers and has been on death row for 30 years after exhausting all of his appeals at both the state and federal level.